We're going to be looking at using Gmail in a web browser. Now this video is time-stamped or chaptered, so you can go to specific parts if you want to, though I would recommend watching the video throughout its entirety. Then once you've done that, you can then go to specific sections that are of interest to you. So without further ado, let's get into it. Okay, so we're at the Google Mail client, otherwise known as Gmail, and we're using the browser version. You'll notice that we automatically landed on the primary page, which is the inbox. Now let's have a quick look at this. Now I've sent a load of emails to myself, so as that you wouldn't be able to see some of the other recipients of the people that I've been communicating with. And you'll notice that in the inbox on the far left we have a number, which is 11. That means I have 11 unread emails in there. You'll also notice that all of these emails are bold, black and bold. That means none of them have been read. You'll also notice towards the top you have a multicoloured cross and the word compose. Sometimes it might just be the multicoloured cross in a circle, but it does the same thing. That would be where you would send your first email, and that is what we're going to do now. So let's click on compose, and that's going to open up a new message. And we have two, so that's going to be the recipient. Underneath that we have subject, so that's going to be the title of the message that we're going to send. And then below that, let me just get rid of this because you won't have this. What you will have is this blank bit here. So the 2 is the recipient. The subject is not the email, it is the title of the email. Then below that, in this big blank space, would be the actual message that you're going to send. So first off, we need to choose who we're going to send it to. Because we're practicing, we might as well send it to ourselves. Now we can do that with emails, that's a good thing. We can practice sending to ourselves and replying to ourselves. So let's type our own email address. And you'll notice that as I started typing, a drop down box with some options have come into it. If the person you're going to send the email to is already in your contact list, they will appear in this drop down box. If they're not there, simply continue typing in their full email address, because the first time you send an email to them or the first time you reply to an email from them, it will automatically be added to your contact list. So you don't have to do that in the future. You can just use this drop down option. Next to it, you'll see that the cursor is blinking, so you can add more people if you wanted to. As far as the CC and the BCC over on the right is concerned, you can ignore that for now. We'll talk about that in another video. That's a throwback to when we used to have typewriters. What we're going to do is click on the subject. So that's going to be the title of the message we want to send, not the email. It's going to be the title of the email. In this case, we're going to call this testing. I'm going to call it testing 1. And then below that, in the main blank area, I'm going to click into that, and we're going to type whatever we want. In this case, I'm going to type in, this is my first test email. So you'll notice testing 1 is just the title of the email, but the actual message is below that. That's a common mistake people make, is typing the entire email where it says subject. Now we're going to send. Down the bottom there we have the send button, which is blue. That's it. It's as easy as that. Because we're in the inbox, we can see our email here, testing 1. Next to it, where it says primary, we can see where it says me, That's because we sent it to ourselves. If Peter, our friend, sent us an email, then that would say that it was from Peter or from Paul or from George or whoever. But in this case, it's from ourselves, so it says me. Let's open that email by clicking on where it says testing 1. Now we've opened the email. We can read the email. If we want to delete it, towards the top, you have some options here. And it's always going to look like a rubbish bin to delete it. The rest of these you can play around with because we're just covering some basics here today. But let's assume we do want to reply to this email. We can click reply, which is down the bottom here. Or we can click forward, but we're going to click reply. You will notice now, let me get rid of all this. You will notice that who we're replying to is automatically filled in. You will also notice that the subject is not there either. That's because basically this email is, think of it like a letter. This reply is simply being stapled to the original. We're replying to it. Now all we have to do is type in our response. Okay, so we can say yes, got it, and then click send. We've sent our first email and we've replied to our first email. Congratulations. It is really as simple as that. But you'll notice that we're not back to the inbox like we was last time. So get into a good habit. Click on the folder that you want to go into, in this case the inbox. Because think of Gmail as a drawer in a filing cabinet. Google have a load of different products. Gmail is one drawer in their filing cabinet. All of these folders down the left here are the folders inside that filing cabinet. So we're going to click back on inbox, which is our primary. And it's a good habit to get into. We're going to click on testing 1, but you'll notice before that where it says me, it's got the number 2 next to it. That tells us that there are 2 emails about that particular subject from the original email. So let's click on the testing 1. There at the top, this is my first email. Underneath that is our reply to that. Let's assume that this was sent from Peter and we found it really interesting and we want to share this with Paul. What we would do is we would click forward, which is at the bottom here. Now you'll notice, because we don't know who we're going to send it to, or the computer doesn't know who we're going to send it to, I should say, we need to type in that person's email address. But we're practicing, so we're just going to send it to ourselves instead. Again, we can click from the drop down box. Again, the cursor is blinking next to it, so we can add somebody else if we want to, but we don't. So we're going to click into the main body of the email and type whatever message we want. So I'm going to type, thought you might like to see this. Now you'll notice that I spelt the word see incorrectly. And it's underlined. I've done SSEE. Good thing with Gmail is it does spell check for you. So if you want to correct this, right click on the word and underneath that it will give you some options. In this case, it's just given me one option, so I'm going to click on that and it's changed the spelling for me. Now we can click send. And that's it. And you'll notice we're not back at the inbox again. So let's click on inbox. Again, good habit to get into. And you'll see where it says me. It's now got the number 3 next to it. So there are 3 emails about that subject. Click on where it says testing 1 and we can read our emails. And because this is what we call a string, because we have several emails about the same subject, We have the original at the top, then we have all our other responses listed underneath that. But let's go back to the inbox for now. Let's assume we want to delete this email because we've read it and it's useless. We don't want to keep it anymore. Two things we can do. First option, hover your mouse over the email you want to get rid of. To the right, you'll see there's some options, icons come up. We're looking for the one called a dust, that looks like a dustbin, which will say delete. Click that. That has deleted all of those emails to do with that subject. Let's assume that we want to delete more than one email because our inbox is just chock full. Over to the left, we can see that we have a square and a star. All we do is click into the square, and immediately above that towards the top you'll see some options that come up, including the dustbin with delete. And click into that box, we've now got that tick box there. Tick into the one after it, we've got another tick box, and the one after that we've got another tick box. So we can choose as many emails that we want to delete as we can. And we just simply click delete and they will all be deleted. If we decided that we ticked the wrong box, we just simply click it again and it removes that cross. So let's get rid of those two emails. There we go. We've now got rid of those two emails. They've both been undone. Let's click compose, because this time we're going to send an attachment to ourselves. So I'm going to type Clacton and the subject. So I'm simply going to call this attachment. Click into the main body and then type something about the attachment. So let's say it's a comic lion. Again, if you spelled it incorrectly, just right click on the incorrect word and choose the correct option. What I'm going to do now is towards the bottom where it says send, to the right of that there's a paper clip. Click on the paper clip which says attach file. If you're not immediately into the folder that you want to be into, on the left you're going to have some options and you can choose whether you want to go pictures, videos, downloads, documents. You go to where you want to go. That's another video. I'm going to choose this lion and I've clicked on it once, and then I'm going to come down here and click open. That's now attached that picture to this email, and we can see that at the bottom here because it says lion, then a bunch of numbers after it and how large the file is. Let's click send. We've now sent the email and we've also received it in our inbox. You notice there's a difference between the other emails that we sent and all these other ones here. It has this new feature underneath it. That tells us there's an attachment of some kind, in this case a picture. So let's click the attachment, the word that says attachment. We've opened the email, there's the picture that we've had attached. So if Peter sent this to us and we wanted to keep the picture because perhaps it could be a picture of our nephews or our grandchildren, hover your mouse over the picture, you've got a downward arrow, click the downward arrow where it says download, and in my case it says save file. That's because I receive all different kinds of files. All you would do is choose where you want to save it or if you want to open it. It's up to you. I always prefer to save it because then I can scan it with my antivirus before I actually open it. So click OK. It's now asking me where I want to save it. I'm just going to save it in the downloads and click save. Simple as that. Let's go back to the inbox. I'm going to finish there. I hope you like this. This video is time stamped, so if you look down in the description below the video, you can jump to specific points in the video that is of interest to you and ignore everything else. Thank you for watching.